Thank you, Joy. It's lovely to be back in touch. I've been working on so many things since then. I've done a lot of work on India's anthropology and the significance of Indian anthropology to Adivasi interests. I've since also started a Humanities in India partnership program, which focuses on Adivasi histories, issues, and we're trying to work towards an Adivasi humanities, which is much more responsive to indigenous rights and the diversity of cultures and the diversity of knowledges that are present in Adivasi societies. So it was good to be back in touch on the day of the Hul 2026. Thank you for your invitation to participate in this discussion. You're absolutely right. 2003 through to 2005, when we worked together on the film Hul Sengel and also the later film Hul Johar, these were very formative moments for me, I think for both of us, and also for the other activists and thinkers involved in the program. So it's lovely to have an opportunity to reflect on some of the impact those initiatives have had in India.
What I would like to remind you of the day that we had been working during the Hul Sengel, and there was not much of an social engagement from the Santals in Santal Pargana in celebration of the Hul or any sort of an social engagement. But what I am proud of that our engagement has left a legacy, and that what I will focus on is the Padyatra, the 100 and some kilometers walk from Dumka to Bhognadih, that has become a national event for the Santals and Adivasis.
Brilliant.
And for quite many years, it has also become made a mark in the priorities of even political parties to join the march. The different NGOs and student organizations from across the country are regularly participating in a much vibrant manner. Apart from, also the government is also sensitized that any ruling government now has a big stage, and it has become a platform to showcase their the work of the government on that day. So I think that gives us a very is promising work that we had started far back.
It's really interesting, Joy, to hear about these updates. I follow some of it on social media. There are so many posts on the day of the rebellion, the Hul Maha, but I've yet to revisit in person, and it'll be an aspiration of mine to reconnect there in Bhognadih. My understanding is that the day of the rebellion has meant a lot, obviously, to the Santal communities in Santal Parganas, really ever since independence. Even maybe before independence, there were different forms of commemorating the rebellion. I think within Bhognadih, as in the focal point for the start of the rebellion, there have been annual celebrations. But you're absolutely right, I think, in acknowledging this new turn, which is towards conjoining Bhognadih with Dumka through the foot march, the Padyatra. That was a new initiative that we got started in association with the Hul India Hul Baisi. And so to know that that has become, a key part of the Hul Maha is a wonderful thing. As is maybe also the impact that the film has made, because at one point we discussed how the family of the Murmu brothers, Sidhu Murmu and Kanu Murmu, how their descendants have now more visibility in Jharkhand, in West Bengal, and have, through their own willingness, that through their own agency, developed somehow a new understanding of the social relevance of the Santal Rebellion in terms of today's search really for equality and justice in different areas. So these are, I think, ongoing issues. What's your sense about the Padyatra? When we organized that first, or co-organized that first Padyatra, it took on a lot of significance in the different areas between Dumka and Bhognadih. There seemed to be a lot of interest in having interactions there in the different villages, in the different locations, and that the emphasis was on those places as specific sites. But you seem to be suggesting that now there's more kind of connectedness across those different sites all the way through, so that the celebration is more about the actual movement between those sites. Is that something you've noticed?
Yes, and right after that, and for the past 5-6 years, it has become more widely spread awareness and preparative things. Preparations have begun already before 1 month or so, and there are, because of the social media and thanks to Gota Bharat Santal Hul which has taken up this effort ever since and has not left this, and which has been pioneering this till now and leading. But surprisingly, many organizations, despite of their own limitations, joined this Padyatra with no disputes at all. Even the political parties. Now there are more stoppages during the Padyatras because everybody wants to show their affection and gratitude to the people who are walking. And there are continuous people from Nepal and Bangladesh, because of the visa problem for the last few years have been difficult. They are not able to come. But there are many more people coming from Orissa, Bengal, and Assam. So, and it has become not one person's job to do this, because everybody wants to own and contribute. And one good thing that the political regime also supports this a lot, and because it has become a historical pilgrimage, I would say, for the Santals, for the Santal nation. Yeah, and I feel really proud of it. I mean, this should go on, and nowadays it has become more digitally very powerful, vibrant, but in a very peaceful way we have been doing this. Of course, some may think political parties are contributing and showing their participation in this, but because they are also part of the community and we cannot stop anyone. It is the right of everyone and anyone to participate in this. So this.
But when we were involved in the 2005 Padyatra, you're absolutely right. It was, I think, an important moment in the connection internationally of the different Santal diaspora communities. So it's really good to know that some of these international, certainly interstate movements are continuing to take place. It also was quite a large, I mean, maybe not as large as it is now, but it certainly became quite a large mass of engagement in those kind of locations nearer to Bhognadih. So when we got involved, we were keen to understand what the meaning of the rebellion was in terms of contemporary Santal consciousness. And there were a lot of plays, poetry, music, some festivals and so forth that connected to the rebellion and its legacy. So have you found also that sense of creativity coming into play through new song, new poetry?
One thing that is the narrative of the Santal Hul is largely understood to be the war against the British Empire, which sadly directly is not. What we are failed to make people understand or say it in public that this was a war that has started because of the subjugation and marginalization from the Dikus or
The
the
Diku, yeah.
moneylanders from the communities living with the Santals.
Mm.
And the best way to summarize is the British Empire took sides of these moneylenders.
Mm.
And then it became a war with the British Empire. Initially, it
Exactly.
wasn't. It was not at all the case.
Well, it was the East India Company who were involved in exploiting the forests, exploiting the workforce, developing certain kind of land tenureships for Santal populations to make these Santal populations more kind of workable within the colonial economy. There was a lot of exploitation from the railway engineers, also from the police and various officials who kind of misrepresented the situation. So there are these many different factors. Yes, some of it, of course, some of colonialism was mediated by people who weren't British. But I think, the situation was, equally against the actual exploiters as and alongside the East India Company. So people, they talk of empire, of course, and it's interesting that this rebellion happened just 2 years before the 1857 wars of independence as well. And so historically, the 1857 rebellions have kind of overshadowed, in terms of their historical significance, the 1855 Santal Rebellion. But of course, for the region involved, namely the Dominiko, the Santal Parganas, the borderlands between West Bengal and Bihar, and what is now, of course, Jharkhand, obviously it's a very, very important historical moment in that regional context.
And you rightly said so, and that is why when these days we get to hear that the organizations, the Santals, what we are propagating, that this Santal rebellion been named as the first freedom movement of India because it precedes the Sepoy Mutiny of 1857. And that has all that continues to be the case as and where the Adivasis are. Uh, the ruling regime always takes sides of the oppressors, whether it was in 1855 and whether it's now in 2026. So that has been a continuous struggle of not only lobbying, but of a continuous fight for injustices still goes on. And
this is what I think the
yeah.
concept of Diku. I think the concept of Diku is obviously still one that's very prominent vis-a-vis the exploitation of Santal workers in context of, mining and all of that. So these are legacies, that somehow matter. I mean, the land tenureship agreements, for example, that get disrupted by land appropriation and kind of forced labor, these are direct kind of contexts where this idea of Diku, or kind of exploiter, certainly makes sense. So Diku is like a plural word for those others that are, or take kind of an exploitative relation against us. There's another notion, because of course within the Santal community, within the Santali and other languages similar to Santali, you have this noun of kind of horror, or the people, the humanity. And so the Diku is this kind of otherness. It's an otherness that kind of oppresses or seeks to exploit the Horuko. So there's this other nice concept, which is about the capacity for the Horuko to actually make their own community, to create their own civilization, to generate their own economies, their own wisdom, their own relations with other communities. And that's why I mentioned in the interview that I recently did on the day of the rebellion this year about this concept of Horomitan, or the friendship that's established by Adivasi communities like Santals with neighboring communities. And this Horomitan civilization is absolutely unique to Jharkhand and the surrounding districts in West Bengal. And so I think it's a very, very important value system that sometimes gets a little bit forgotten, you know, because it's very collective, it's multicultural, it's multi-ethnic, and it's not singularly about one community or the other, but it's about the capacity for friendship between the communities. So I mean, I think obviously, you know, part of the values that Sidhu Murmu and all of the freedom fighters were searching for was a continued existence that built on those values. That's why I was saying that the Horomitan idea was kind of before and also then inspired the rebellion. So is that a concept that people in Jharkhand are responsive to?
Yeah, and the initial cry of the Hul, Abua Disam, Abua Raj, and fortunately the present regime, the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, has as a struggler or the one who have been very the most contributed in the formation of Jharkhand, seems to have this uh, motto Abo Disam Abo Raj, and they also call this government Abua Sarkar. That's what, and in everything they write Abua. That means it is they try to connect with the people and the ethos of the Adivasis, if not only the Santals. But what we see that there has to be some kind of a concrete effort, because the Adivasis, we after the formation of Jharkhand, are continuously engaged in improving themselves, and despite today we have been largely fragmented due to politics, due to religion, and we are following the agenda of the oppressors. The Adivasis are continually under pressure to prove themselves are who are the original Adivasis, or because we are being divided by religion, and which now has become a major problem in Jharkhand.
Okay.
And there's also a cry from our brethren who are not converts, saying that the converts should not get the constitutional rights. And so where is the fruit of development being enjoyed by the Adivasis in Jharkhand, where our existence is questioned by our own brethren of us being converted, and it has become us and them, and the political parties are gaining interest as per their choices. But the ultimate question of development and Abua Raj doesn't seem to be happening. But we still are hopeful that our government is very, at least in principle, it has been handling the show well. But yes, another maybe it's been 25 years, and there is serious policy analysis needs to take place in Jharkhand, because we have always been. I feel that the state has always been dictated by policymakers who lack the ethos of the cultural aspect of Jharkhand.
Yeah.
And there needs to be some seriously policy analysis.
Do you feel that the phrase Hul Sengel, which we coined when we made that film, do you feel that that phrase also has developed its own legacy? Because I've seen so many new songs that come up using the phrase Hul Sengel as the title or the kind of the refrain in the song. Have you got any reflections on that?
Yes, the song itself, the title, in fact, what we framed was very catchy and known, acceptable by many. And I've been asked then that how did you get this title, and then we had to say that it's a discussion among ourselves, but it's still it's very catchy, and anybody listens to it, the explanation of it, which is the spirit of the Santal Revolution, that is a very strong phrase uh, that is supporting it. And
Mm.
of course, yes, there are many songs, and you will know the salutation. Everybody started saying Hul Johar thereafter. Yes, yes, that wasn't there before that. I do
Mm.
not remember before 2000 or so. But now in every salutation, most of the activists or people, even the political leaders, are doing it in on any occasion, because you can say Hul Johar not only on 30th June but on every day. On
Mm.
our to begin our speeches, we also say Hul Johar.
Mm.
So yeah, we have that has left a tremendous amount, and it's a sense of belongingness to
Mm.
the whole uh, war or rebellion of the community. So
So I
it is
remember.
a very positive effect. Yes.
So let us just reflect on Hul Sengel in terms of the phrasing, and then maybe a little bit more on some of these later songs. So in terms of the phrasing, I think we arrived at that phrase as well as our translation of it, as you say, the spirit of the Santal Revolution. Um, Given the historical phenomenon of the Sengel Da, as in the rain cloud, uh, the fire cloud, um, and the use of that phrase fire cloud um, in John Jantu Soren's play, or one of the Santali plays that was also called Sengel Da. And so we incorporated some clips, video clips from the play within the film. And then we also brought the phrase into the film as well, because there's that episode within the film that's about how in the play they are worshipping their premonitions of the mythical entities that kind of inspired the rebellion, gave legitimacy to the rebellion. And so the fire cloud was one of those important visions, wasn't it? So there's that sort of historical reference, but then there's also the performativity of it, the performative reference, which is, okay, there's this play called Sengel Da as well. Yeah.
Yeah, during that time, that play by John Jantuswaran definitely deserves an ovation, because that play was the only play around which spoke about the Hul and the voices of the Hul, and
Mm.
that's why we had it is the first scene of our film
Mm.
after the song,
Mm.
which has been taken directly from the play,
Mm.
and where the Sido Murmu also in the voice we had taken, he asserts himself
Mm.
as to no to the British regime, and which is a very powerful message, and
Mm.
that all the script has been taken from his play.
Mm.
So and also the title of the film was has very much to do with that, uh, because we already had in mind Sengilda is a play which we are doing it and taking part of it. So yes, that plays a very important role in forming the phrase of Hul Sengel. Yeah, it's a very powerful play, Sengilda. Yes,
Mm.
yes, you rightly said. Yes, yeah.
uh, so can we just reflect, Joy, for a moment on how people have adopted this phrase Hul Sengel in terms of some of their creativity. You mentioned about Hul Johar. So Hul Johar was the title of your film, which was the documentation of the Padyatra in 2005. So it's really good to know that Hul Johar has achieved this salience in society. But I'm really interested in how people have taken up the salience of Hul Sengel, and there are some people with Hul Sengel as tattoos. There are some people with Hul Sengel, who are making all these new songs and videos and so forth. So has that been a phenomenon that people have reflected on, or is it just a phenomenon that has just kind of organically evolved due to people's perception of things?
Yeah, while we were making the film way back in 2003 and 5, there wasn't much kind of an social media presence, and the connectivity and the social network or connect with Santals or Adivasis from different states was literally missing. But because of this social networking, it gave them a platform to be in par with the youth from other regions as well. So uh, maybe the youth from Bengal and Orissa are more vibrant and digitally active. Uh, but it also gave the youth from Jharkhand also a perspective to be in the national fora, and so that's why there are more of video educators these days. You will see who have been doing activism in their own small farmers in their villages or in their small towns, and have become reporters for different anomalies in the government schemes or whichever, or something cultural activism by recording songs. So uh, yes, there are people doing tattoos of these, writing songs about printing T-shirts about Hul during the 30th June celebration. You see a lot of pictorial depiction coming out of this Hul Sengel. Yes.
Mm. That's really good news. So it's something that we can reconnect on when we meet. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet soon.